Hello, Dorothy here with Done by Dorothy, and we are here today in another video in our collaboration that we're doing between Bell Creativa Designs and Done by Dorothy. And if you haven't seen any of that, be sure to check the playlist out, check all the links and everything in the description box below. And we're going to get started today. We are working on our cover. So I am going to use this vintage napkin. Of course, it's got roses on it, which goes along with our kit so well. So I'm using that, and for my base, I've actually decided to use a file folder, and to give you sort of an idea of what I'm doing there, I have made it to where my spine is 1 3/4 or 4.5 centimeters, and what I've done is where my folder was cut in half. Let me grab my ruler and double check that sizing for you. From where the fold in my file folder was, I have went 7 3/8, or let's see, centimeters, 18.3 centimeters is the distance I went here. So what that will end up giving me is a 1 3/4 inch spine, or 4.5 centimeter spine. And my cover will be 6.5 by 8 3/4, or 16 centimeters by 22.5 centimeters. So that's roughly what I worked out that I'm using for my cover. And again, I'm using the vintage napkin. So we will get started. I'm going to set my napkin to the side. This again is going to be sort of, I'm not going to show exactly how I cut the manila folder down and all that, because I've showed that in previous videos. So I'm just going to make sure I cover, and I always like to start with my spine. That's just me. And I like going in both directions because you just get a little bit more and all those little cracks and crevices, because along the spine I did go and, starting with my center point, scored a 1/4 inch, 3 across and 3 down, just to sort of give me an idea or a grid that I'm going to use. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this around here. I'm going to take the top, and I'm actually going to turn this over this way. It might be a little bit easier to show you. I have the pink around the edges. I want to keep that sort of as my top here, just to sort of help line it up, although I may end up, I think I'll trim most of this off once I sew it, because I sort of want to give it that ragged edge anyway. So I'm just going to stay below that pink and make sure I burnish this down really well here in the center and get all that glue squished in there. Okay. Now I do know that I'm going to trim down the sides, although technically if covering it with paper, I may do that, because that doesn't look too bad. I may just leave that on there, and then I can paper over it. Yep, I think we might do that. Okay, so I'm going to fold this back. And again, I'm going to cover this completely with glue. And a lot of this is going to be gluing today. That's just the way that it works. And then I will sew around the edges. And like I said, I don't know, I think I will trim the edges. So I think I'll leave that out. I think I'm going to trim the edges to meet. And I'm going to make sure I put some right in that space on the edge there where I stopped with the cover. Just because with fabric, you can do that a little bit more better. With paper, you got to be a little careful because it cracks and it creases and all of that. So I am going to hit this up with my sewing machine when I get finished. I actually thought about doing it by hand because I thought it would be really cool to sort of add some, and I may do that. I'll have to, once I get it on there, we'll have to see. Then I may change my mind, you know. That's the way it works. So I'm pulling this where it's down a little bit from that pink edging at the top. So if I decide to, well, I'm pretty sure I'm make sure I burnish that really good. And then when I get it all done, we'll flip it over and we'll burnish the fabric down from the fabric side. And again, I'm gonna try to squeeze this with the two hands and speed it up a little bit. There we go. It's not too bad on the paper, but on the fabric, I want to make sure I get a lot there so it catches. And again, I'm going to be sewing around this, so this is pretty much just to sort of hold it in place until I can get it all sewed down. I might do some hand sewing on it. That would be sort of neat. Oops. Give it a different look if we did. Let me grab my... There we go. Now let me flip it over. And that's going to pull just to make sure there's no wrinkles or anything in the fabric, because I did not iron my fabric. I didn't iron my fabric because I knew I'd be gluing it down. And when you burnish it, when you glue it, it sort of takes care of the wrinkles for you, so you don't have to. Although feel free, if you're one of those, some people will want to iron it anyway. And that's completely up to you. Seems like I got a space in here the glue didn't get, so make sure I get it all glued down. And again, this is just temporarily holding it until I can sew it. There we go. Yeah, I felt it go down. Okay. And then I have this at the bottom. So what I thought I would do, because I'm going to trim around here anyway. So up at the top, at least on the sides, what do I want to use? Let's see. Let me get my paper and see what color paper we want to use up in there, or use in there. Give me a second. I'm looking at it. I want to use a bright yellow. Hold on. That might be pretty. Oops. A little loud. Okay, I'm actually going to use it this way, I think. Yep. Okay. So I'm actually just going to use my pinking shears because they're sitting here. So if you wonder why I'm using pinking shears, it's because they're right here. Let me grab my ink and ink around my edges. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side now. Sorry if there was a lag in talking there. Didn't want to cut a large edge off. So I was concentrating. Sometimes when you concentrate, you get quiet. I do. I don't know if anybody else does that or not. And I'm just going to cut these edges with the pinking shears, and I can stick them up a little bit past. I'm going to trim this just a little bit. Ink around the edges. I guess I should have played some music or something in the background, as quiet as I am today. And this one I just cut around the 3 edges because the one edge is going to be covered up. So I'm not really worried about what goes below. Okay, there we go. So this one I'm just going to... I'm not going to worry about if it sort of lags over because, again, we're going to trim this off. So we are good. We're just going to line up the top and go. And I hope you guys are enjoying the collaboration with Bell Creativa and done by Dorothy. It's been really enjoyable. Katie's such a sweetheart. Okay. There we go. Get that one down. Again, I'm not going to worry about this because I'm going to end up trimming it off anyway. So when I trim it off, I'll go right along the edge and that'll be a straight edge when we get done. And again, I will, I'm going to put this in here, but once we get the pocket up the middle and all that, then I'll put some more support in our spine. So it'll be more able to take this will all be covered up and our spine will, so. That's one good thing about Fabri-Tac. You can move it around if you need to. Okay, there we go. Let's see, I was trying to line these up on top. There we go. But this is all going to be covered up. I'm going to put some lace down the middle once we get the bottom pocket part done. Let's see. We may not have to do any support. That's going to go almost all the way up. We might be okay. I'll still put something in the middle there, so for the spine. And that'll give us big, deep pockets on the front too, on the front and back, which I really like. Yes. That's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to leave right here. I'm going to leave about an inch of it, or maybe an inch and a half with nothing there, so I can come back in and put something in there to cover that maybe. I don't know. I think it'll actually be okay. Let's see. Let's get our bone folder out here and crease our... Trying to figure out exactly where my spine ends here. There we go. And this one is going to go right in here. Yep. Something I don't like about the glass mats is they make that loud sound. Okay, there's that side. And let's get this side first. Okay. It's so pretty. It's gonna be a pretty cover. Okay. Then let's start gluing. Let's see. First, I'm gonna do the spine first because that's just the way that I work. And I'm gonna go all the way up, like I said, to about an inch or so below, or so, just enough that I can tuck something in there. Maybe some lace like we used. I have to pull it back out because I just put it up. Let me go up here on the paper and do that. It's gonna be a lot easier to about that high. I think we'll do okay. To make sure I got this straight. Okay, now I am going to come in here, and you guys aren't going to be able to see this probably, but I'm going to just put a line of glue, sort of not on my spine, but on the flat part of my page, just up the side, so, you know, it's stuck a little bit past the spine, and then right along the bottom, and then I'll put some glue too, so it'll hold it in there. There we go. That way the bottom here will be attached when I go to sew. I may need to put a little bit more in there, we'll see. Okay. Then I'm going to go down this side and I'm going to put, probably about, let me see where I'm going to start at. Let's see, this is going to be about right here. So let me use my bone folder and mark a spot there so I can see. And I'm going to use probably a ½ an inch along the side because I do want that to make sure that that's stuck down fairly well. There we go. And then I'm going to pull this tight because I'm going to make sure that it gets all the wrinkles and whatnot out of there. Okay, let me hold this for a little bit just to make sure that that fabric's secure and in place. There's that part. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run a little bit again inside, which is probably easier to do when you're doing the spine. Just run about a ½ an inch over. That way you know you got that part covered. And I'm going to run a fair amount, a pretty big glob across the bottom. Again, because I want to make sure that I got that attached. And again, you can do that. When you're doing the spine too, if you want, it sort of depends on how you like to do it. I'm going to pull this up. Take this across the bottom, squishing all that down. And this was just a vintage napkin. So and then I'm going to go along the edge again. Let me mark where this one stops. It'll be about the same height as the other one. And then again, I'm going to do about a ½ inch along the edge, which is still going to give us a really nice deep pocket to store things in. And again, I will be trimming this up, and when I get done doing this, I'll sort of explain how I'm doing that. Well, I mean, I could do it with my pinking shears, I guess, along the edge, and show you how I'm going to trim it, and then how I'm going to sew it. Okay, and then again, I'm going to take where my spine is, sort of fold it a little bit just to burnish it. And I'm going to take this side, and again, feed it in there really careful, because it is just glue and fabric until you get it sewn. I've been debating about doing it, hand sewing it by hand around the edges. I don't know. Just can't decide. So I keep putting it off because I can't decide. And then, oh, I did take that all the way up to the side there. Am I supposed to do that far? Need to put something right there. Let me grab. Let me grab some lace real fast. Let me see if I can grab that same lace. Give me just a second. I actually found this, and it's pretty. So I may just put a little piece of it there. I think I will. Okay, so I'm going to use my pinking shears to cut this. And I know I needed about 2 inches wide, so I'll just guesstimate and cut off a snip here. I was crafting and left my regular scissors in the other room. Okay, yeah, so see, that's about perfect. Okay, so I want to do this a little different. So I'm going to grab the glue and put it across the top here. And I'm going to put it upside down the way I want it to be. So I want it to be this way. So, and I'm going to go, about a ½ inch down and glue it like that. Now I'm going to come through and get my glue to come out of the bottle. Let's see. Not quite centered. Let me pull it up this way a little bit more. To make sure I center it up here so it doesn't look as odd. There we go. Okay, and then I did that. So I'm gonna see, pull this down a little bit more. Let me Put some glue through here before this dries. Our fabric is stuck to no longer come unstuck again. Okay, there we go. Then I want to pull this down, but I'm going to leave just a bit stuck up, sort of like that, to sort of add that like finished book cover look to it, I guess. I don't know what. Looking for my. Ah, it's right there. Feed that lace through there. I may have to put a little bit. Nope, it seems like it's gonna hold. Just to glue that down there. I don't know. Can't decide if I want to actually do that or if I just want to cut the insides out and layer this over. I don't know. I sort of like the. I think it'll look pretty sewn. I think it'll look better. And then that'll give us that little bit of lace stuck out of the top, which I really like. Okay, so I'm going to use my pinking shears on these. That just, well, because I sort of want it to have that ravelly look. Let me grab my other scissors. Let me grab my other scissors. Well, a pair of scissors I've got. I just want to talk about. These are old scissors, so I'm not even sure how they'll. We will see. I'm just going to trim across the top. Yep, it'll go. I'm just going to cut that pink edging off around, which I could have done before I glued it, which, you know, probably would have made more sense. But, you know, hey, it is how it is. And I didn't, so. My hands are sticking in these scissors where I got glue on my fingers. So it's like, doesn't really want to stay there. Let me pull this back. Oh, it's still wet, which is a good thing. So my fabric's going to stick out just a little bit higher than where my pinking shears were. There we go. So we got that cut off. And let's get on the sides. I'm going to grab my pen and marker here. Make sure I'm pulled back to where I need to be on this side. And I'm just going to make a couple little, so I know where to sort of go to as I'm going down through there so I don't get all crazy and cut off. Sorry. These glass mats are really awesome when it comes to stuff sticking on them and all that, but they are noisy. Okay. There we go. Get that done. In here. And then I need to do the same thing over here. Find the top. Let's see. Find over here where we're at. Let's there. Right there. There we go. Right along the edge because we're going to sew that up. That'll take that off. So we have that part off. So that leaves us with our inside looking like this. This is our spine. There. So that's what it'll look like on the inside. Let me grab this. I'll use this for an example. So that's just going to look like. And we haven't put our lace and tabs and such in on the sides, but that will be, so it'll fit 3 nicely. And of course, Let me find a little bit harder. Hold on. This will work perfectly. And we've got our deep pocket here. That's a nice big pocket. And a nice big pocket back here. There's a wrinkle right there, but when I will iron it after I sew it to sort of knock any of the threads down and all of that. And then I will sew it around the edges, you know, around the square in the front. I'll probably lay it down and do the spine because that'll help hold our lace in. And then around the square in the back. So that's what our cover will look like. And I don't know if there was just a glitch or not. I'm not sure what that was. So, and this will, you know, once we sew it, we'll shred it, you know, shed. So we'll have that. But I think the cover is very pretty. I think it matches very well. So, yeah, it will go right in there. So let me grab, well, the other two I've got in here. Nope, I've got one here. This is, I'm sort of recording things out of order, so this is before I had actually finished those from the other day. So there are our 3 signatures. Of course, they still have things to get added to them, but that's what the cover looks like. So, I mean, that's what it's going to pretty much look like, except with all our goodies out of it. So, I mean, we've got about 1/4 of an inch on the top and the bottom. And then we've got about 3/8 of an inch along the edge for tabs and all of that. And we will sew them into the spine, which I think it's going to be really pretty, but I love this cover. I'm not even sure decorative wise if I want to add anything to here, because just the way that it feels is amazing. So yeah, so that is it for today. Thanks for tuning in. And we've got storms and stuff coming in here, so please stay safe, and we will see you soon. Bye now. Be sure to check the description box.